Hey guys, we're going to learn about the last type of factoring today. It's about factoring trinomials. So what we've learned already is, does it have a GCF? So you still want to check for that today. Does it have a GCF? So you ask yourself that with all the problems. Then you ask yourself, is there only two terms? If there's only two terms and they're both perfect squares or cubes, you use a formula. Then yourself, does it have three terms? If so, you're going to use the method we did today. If you look at the first problem, there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So we use something called sign and divide. So the first thing you check for is there GCF? And in this problem, nothing goes into all three terms. So next thing I do is I draw an X that's already drawn for you. What you do first is you take the first number, which in this case, there's a 1 before that X squared, and you multiply it by the last number, which is negative 30. So on the top, you put the first number times the last number. 1 times negative 30 is negative 30. Then what you put on the bottom is the middle number. So in this case, it was negative 1. So negative 1 goes down there. Then what you have to do is try to figure out what will multiply to negative 30, the top number, and add to negative 1, which is the bottom number. And so you can use your mental math trying to figure out what multiplies to negative 30, but I'm going to show you how to do it in your calculator. So you grab your calculator, you go to y equals. You're going to put the top number, which is negative 30, and you divide by x. You hit second graph, and we've already done this. And you figure out what's going to add to negative 1 across the rows. So it's on negative 2. So negative 2, and you add it to 15, which is in the right column. That does not add to negative 1. Negative 1 and 30 does not add to negative 1. 1 and negative 30 does not. And you just keep going down until you find something right there. 5 and negative 6. That adds to negative 1. So I put that on the sides. And then what I do is I put them in parentheses. So I create two parentheses. And there's an x squared at the beginning of that original problem. So I put an x at the beginning of both of these. And then I have a positive 5, so plus 5. And I have a minus negative 6. It doesn't matter if you put the minus 6 first or the plus 5 first. To check it, all you do is you do the box method. So we'll learn this in the first day when you're doing stations. So I do x plus 5. X minus 6. And when you do this, it should get the original problem back. So I'm going to fill it in by multiplying it together. And I don't require you to do this. I'm just showing you. I add together the diagonal. And sure enough, that's the same thing as your original problem. All right, number 2. I check for a GCF first. There is a GCF in this problem. What goes into 4, 32, and 36 is 4. So then I divide all of these by 4. I'm left with r squared plus 8ry minus 9y squared. So if you notice, these have r's and y's in it, and we'll deal with that later. So the first thing I do is I get rid of that original problem. I'm no longer looking at that. I'm only focusing on what's left over inside the parentheses. I'm also going to ignore the 4 right now that's out front. So I take the first number, which is 1, and I multiply by the last number, negative 9. So 1 times negative 9 goes up top, so negative 9 is up top. Then the middle number goes down bottom, 8. I use my calculator, and I figure out what multiplies to negative 9 and adds to 8. So I go to y equals, and I put negative 9 divided by x, second graph. I add across the row. Negative 1 and 9, that adds to 8. So fantastic, I've already got it. So negative 1 and 9. So I put that in my parentheses. And since the leading variable was an r, I put r's at the beginning of both of these. So minus 1 plus 9. Now since there are y squared at the end, I put a y after both of those. So if you would do the box method, which I'm not going to show you, if you would do that, that would give you a y squared at the end and an r squared at the beginning. And then this is when you put that leading GCF out front. So that is your final answer for that problem. All right, for the next one, I check for GCF. This has a GCF of y. They all have y's. So I take a y out, 6x squared minus 11x minus 2. Now I can ignore that original problem. I'm just focusing on what's left on inside the parentheses. So I take the first number, which is 6, and I multiply by the last number, negative 2. I get negative 12. Then I put the middle number down bottom, negative 11. So I figure out what multiplies to negative 12, adds to negative 11. And so you can do that on your calculator, but I'm just going to give you the numbers. It was negative 12 and 1. So I go off to the side. I write my parentheses. So this has x minus 12, x plus 1. There's no variable behind the last number, so I don't need to put a variable behind these last numbers. And I put my GCF out front. Now this one isn't over, and the reason why this one's a little bit different is because of that 6 that's out front. Okay, this 6 is what makes things different. If we look back at the other problems, you'll notice that with these ones, there was no number out front. There was just a 1 out front and just a 1 out front. But this one, there's now a 6 out front. When there's a number left over out front, what you need to do is you need to take that number that's left out front, this 6 right here, and I need to divide both of these numbers by that 6. Okay? So I have in this first one 12 divided by 6. So 12 divides by 6 just fine. And so 12 divided by 6 is 2. I can keep my GCF out front. This other one, 1 divided by 6, that doesn't divide very nicely. So I go to my calculator. I do 1 divided by 6, enter. I get something gross. So I hit math below the green button, enter, enter. It changes it back into a fraction, 1/6. So what you do is you slide, this is where the name comes from, slide and divide. You slide the denominator out in front of the x. So the 6 right here on the bottom goes out in front of the x, and the 1 stays where it's at. So I take this 6, I slide it out front. So it'll look like this, 6x plus 1. And that's your final answer now. All right, let's do another one. So this next one also has a GCF. So it has a GCF of 2. I'm left with 12x squared plus x minus 20. I forget about the original problem. I multiply the first number times the last number, so 12 times negative 20. So 12 times negative 20. Probably have to use your calculator for that one. That's negative 240. And the bottom number goes, or the middle number goes down bottom, so 1. So you have to figure what adds or multiplies to negative 240 and adds to 1. So you use your calculator definitely for this one, because that's really hard to do the mental math. And if you use your calculator, what you would get is 16 and negative 15. So I put that in the parentheses. So I have x plus 16, x minus 15. I put my GCF out front. But we're not done. The reason we're not done is because we have this 12 that's out front. So I got to take both of these and divide them by 12. So 16 divided by 12 doesn't divide nice, so I had to go to my calculator. 16 divided by 12. It's a gross decimal, so I hit math, enter, enter. So this fraction reduced to 4/3, so I slide the 3 and I keep the 4. So this, if you're looking at the fraction, it would be 3x plus 4. Okay, so this, our calculator reduced it to 4/3, and then you slid the 4. All right, let's do the next one. All right, so I'm going to do 15 divided by 12. I get something, well, not as gross, but still a decimal. Then I hit math, enter, enter. I get 5/4, so I slide the 4, keep the 5. So it'll be 4x, and there's a minus in this one, minus 5. And I keep that GCF out front. So that is my final answer for this one. All right, one more. So this one, I check for GCF, and it has a GCF. All of these terms have b, so I take a b out. I'm left with a squared plus 3a minus 28. I forget about the original problem. I multiply the first number, which is 1, times the last number, negative 28. And I get negative 28. I put the middle number down bottom, which is 3. I go to my calculator and I figure out what multiplies negative 28 and adds to 3, and I get 7 and negative 4. I go over, I put in parentheses. So this is, we're using the variable a, so I do a plus 7, a minus 4. And I put my GCF up front. And then this one is done. And it is done because there was no number besides 1 left over before that a squared. That had a 12, that had a 6, this had a 1, so we don't have to do that extra step. And there was no variables behind that number, so that's why we didn't have to put any variables behind these numbers.